Hi, this is Catherine Rosen with Board Game Geek here at SPIEL 2018. I'm joined by the designer Phil Eklund from Cooperative Games to talk about Pax Emancipation. So please, can you tell me about the game?
Okay, thank you, Catherine. This is a game set in the Age of Enlightenment, and a time in which the entire world was enslaved and had been so for millennia. And your job as the players is to try to free the slaves, also stop the hate groups, genocide, and finally to stop this illegal trafficking, I shouldn't say illegal, the perfectly legal trafficking in humans that was going on in the 17th, 18th centuries and had been going on since states were first created.
Right.
So it's a cooperative game.
Oh, interesting.
So there's no one that's trying to promote slavery.
Everyone's trying to kind of change the public view, right?
Change the public view, and this deeply entrenched public view. I mean, everyone knows and knew that slavery is an unsavory business, that it's that's nasty. It's not a good thing to be a slave, even if your master even takes care of you. Freedom is a virtue.
Yeah,
freedom is a virtue. But they say the prevailing view was you need slavery.
Yeah, because you can't get things done if not, right?
Who's going to empty the garbage? Who's going to build the pyramids?
Right.
So this is trying to break that paradigm. There's 3 players, the Parliament, or the evangelicals, or the philanthropists. So these are the private, religious, and governmental agencies that were active during that time for emancipation. And your goal is nothing less than the greatest accomplishment in history, the emancipation of all the slaves. On the map, which is made up of 10 cards, you have each of these black squares as slaves, and you can free them with freemen, placing something here, for instance. This might be a parliamentary inclined freedman, through agencies of literacy, of straight manumission, buying out the slaves, through revolts and revolutions. You can try to influence the entire world, and this is something that was actually done through the British Empire and through abolitionists in America, France, and Great Britain. They managed in just a couple of generations to legally make slavery illegal for the entire world.
Fantastic.
And if you can duplicate this feat, but it's not easy, even in the total cooperative game, and there's others, there's cooperative, competitive, or straight up competitive games. And it could be because the world is struggling to modernize here, and we can modernize by revolution, perhaps, or by quiet revolutions. I'm trying to flip. You're much better at this, Catherine, than I am. Yeah, now we have, from the 13 colonies, the United States of America. This is a modern state, and hopefully slavery has been abolished in this modern state. If it's not, it's frozen in place. There's also the possibility that chaos, refugees from pogroms or other bad things, hate groups, could spread and erupt the entire world if you're not careful in your agenda of modernizing the world to make the world a better place instead of a chaos, which is entirely possible and did happen in some regions of the world after the slaves were liberated. And we have a tableau of historical figures of both Western and Eastern ideas. This is common to all the Pax games, having a tableau
of historical figures.
Yes, and we've got two splays, they're called, and this happens to be the Bill of Rights splay, and you look at the icons that are paired up in this splay to see what sort of abolitional ideas are possible or viable in the world. And these displays are built up through player actions, which include shipbuilding, fundraising. We keep track of your funds through capital, wealth, and debt. for your agenda, because this is an expensive business. It's a monumental endeavor. It really it requires a much greater investment than going to the moon did a few decades later.
Right.
And so there's westernization, there's literacy, suffrage. You fight hate groups, which are indicated by these little tokens, such as the Ku Klux Klan, or in this case in China, the Canton State monopoly, or the Boxers are also possible. Anything that resists the force of liberal westernization that the world is undergoing during the time of the Age of Reason.
So a lot of historical background in this game, and
there's two
noble
books
endeavor.
here.
Yeah, I can see.
This second
nice and
one,
meaty, right?
Yeah, this second one's just for the historical background and the glossary of the game.
Fantastic.
So this is the rules, and this is the historical background.
How many players does it play?
It plays either 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I showed you the 3 players. Yeah.
And how long does the game typically take to play?
It takes, the cooperative game I think is the fastest, and it'll take a couple hours for that. For the cooperative competitive, where the players cooperate to free the slaves, and if they're successful, they try to instill their own idea of freedom on the world, either green, white, or red. Then we see the final victory there. Sort of a democratic state sort of thing, or democracy for red, theocracy for white, or green as a republic.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. That looks really interesting. That is
all right,
Pax
Catherine.
Emancipation from Sierra Madre Games.